We are now going to do a Frayer model for two vocabulary words that we've already talked about, so it should be pretty easy. And you already have the start, or inertia, and we started that by saying inertia is define objects at rest stay at rest. And we left it there. We're going to talk about inertia more later, so you should have started that model. But now we're going to do our variables. We've already talked about these variables, so this should be pretty easy. Let's start with our first one, our independent variable. And then we're going to have our dependent variable. Remember, you can pause the video at any time if you feel like it's going too fast. Okay, so we are going to define the term in both. We are going to give an example. So we're going to have an example here, and then we're going to have an example here. Then in both, we're going to do a non-example, so something that it is not. Non-example. And of course, I'm going to ask you to draw a picture of both. Okay, let's define an independent variable. Hopefully you already know what I'm going to say, but an independent variable is the variable that you choose to change. Right? A variable is something you change. An independent variable is something you choose to change. We're going to use Pom-Pom's example that we talked about in class. Remember, Pom-Pom wondered what kinds of things can affect the motion of a swing. So one example that could be an independent variable in that is, what if we pushed the swing with different forces? So we're going to write that if I push the swing with different force, and then we're going to just do a ... because that's the independent part of our testable question, right? Now we're going to do a non-example. Remember, a variable is something that can change. So if it doesn't change, no change, then it's not even a variable, let alone an independent variable. Similarly, if it is out of your control, meaning you're not the one that's changing it, then it is not an independent variable. Okay, for a picture, you're going to draw a picture of your example. So for example, I'm going to draw, here's somebody sitting on a swing. There's his body, there's the swing, there's his legs coming down. Okay, and then I'm going to draw another person standing up, and they're about to push the swing. Okay, there is my example. And of course, maybe the swing is hanging from a tree limb or something so that it's not hanging in the air. Okay, so this is my person. He's about to push the swing, and that is my picture. Okay, let's move on to our dependent variable. Remember, you can pause the video at any time if it's going too fast. Okay, what is the definition of a dependent variable? Now, a dependent variable depends on our independent variable, so we don't get to choose it. You don't choose. So what can we do with it? We can measure it. You don't choose it, you measure. You don't choose, you measure. We're going to add an example here. If we started with this independent variable, if I push the swing with different force, okay, let's say our independent variables we're pushing with different force, what could be an example of a dependent variable? What that might affect? It might affect this. Will it change the speed, right? So how will it affect the speed. Okay, so together that makes our testable question. Independent variable, if I push the swing with different force. Dependent variable, how will that affect the speed? Okay, let's go to a non-example. Once again, if it doesn't change, it's not a variable at all. So if there is no change, come on, Miss Heath, you can spell, then it is not a variable. And if you can control it, then it is not a dependent variable because the speed depends on how hard we push the swing. We don't control the speed once we do that push. We are measuring the speed. Okay, the next picture, in this one we're focusing on this guy pushing, right? In this one, I'm going to draw the side view. So here's a person on the swing, there's his body, and his feet are coming out this way. He's sitting on the swing, and it's going up. There's his arm holding the swing. And I'm going to draw the person who pushed him standing back here. And then I'm going to draw an arrow showing that the swing is moving, and this is our speed. Okay, so somehow you've got to show that there's speed on that swing. And that should be your Frayer model of independent and dependent variable.